Hello and welcome to another Franchise Hockey Manager stream. My name is Adam. I'm the community manager of Franchise Hockey. With me, as always, not pictured, well, digitally pictured on your screen is FHM producer Jeff. Say hi, Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
And we are with Back to School Wisconsin Badgers 2027-2028. Is it Destiny? Part 20. Jeff, what's going on this season? It seems like you are cheating and breaking the game.
Well, 30-0-0, just typical season for me. I just don't really see how that's anything out of the ordinary. We get
Oh, yeah.
30 win streaks, 30 game win streaks all the time. Yeah, no, it's we thought we were in trouble because we lost a couple of recruits at the start of the season, but turns out the Big Ten is really terrible this year, and the interconference games haven't really been much of a challenge to us either. I mean, part of it is we started this game with a really early version of the database. There's some issues with it that we ironed out in later builds.
Hi, Max.
So there's going to be, I mean, there were some recruiting problems that some of the teams have had, and I mean, there's Minnesota Duluth. It's 321 and two. They must. You can see that they're mostly half-star guys. They do have a little bit of 3-star, yeah, 3-star, 3.5. Not completely terrible, and they got a decent goalie. But there were some issues with the player pool and recruitment and whatnot, and that's starting to show up in this game. And we're going to be moving on to FHM 10 before long, so it's probably a good time for that to happen. Because I'm not sure how competitive this one would be going forward. Well, I mean, 30-0 at this point, so you can see how competitive it is. Because my team, relative to, well, that was the last place team, but I thought I was going to be weak this year because I was having to use 1.5 and 2-star guys in some of the lines, but there's really not
Yeah.
the 1-star guys that you got with other teams.
Now, I mean, Jeff pointed out if you're playing in your game now, you'll see probably much more competitive teams.
Yeah, and I'm going to do some more work on it this year for FHM 10, and we've also we have started beta testing FHM 10 and working on the transfer portal right now, fine tuning that. So teams won't really be able to stockpile players the way I have here. Like got my collection of 4-star, 4.5-star potential goalies. Some of these guys would have taken off after a season or two and gone to a program that was going to let them play.
Jeff dropping FHM 10 news. Oh, I see how it's starting off
Yep.
hot.
Still a couple more things I want to. We're still working on. We're started beta testing a little earlier than normal because we were able to get the interface done a little sooner than we typically do. So we're a little ahead of the game on testing, and there's a couple of things I want to see actually functioning in the game before I want to do a bigger announcement. So it'll be a while coming before that, but I'll drop in whatever I can. If just mentions like that, like the transfer portal and smaller stuff. If it comes up, and I'm fairly sure it's going to work. Okay, just looking at the schedule there. And
Jeff, as you're simming, and just because there was some big NHL news over the last couple of days. So do you want to talk about it? I mean, first off, did you see the big news today, which is August 23rd?
I've kind of been well. We've had some bigger news in Kelowna the last few days, and I've been paying a little more
Well,
attention to that.
okay,
Well, if
Austin
anybody
Matthews.
if anybody hasn't heard, there's a bad forest fire here. Came across the lake on last Thursday night, so I am just at like 100 yards away from one of the evacuation alert zones. So I've kind of had a bag packed since for the last 4 or 5 days, and the zone is still technically active. So been a little preoccupied with that stuff, getting some work done. But no, what happened to the NHL today that I missed?
Okay, so Austin Matthews has re-signed with the Leafs,
Okay.
but only for 4 years.
Eh,
He signed for 13.25 million.
eh.
Secondly, uh, Elias Pettersson announced he was
Oh,
not
that thing.
interested
Yeah,
in
that's
re-signing with Vancouver.
well.
And
No, he said
as we know,
the
you're a
talks were
Vancouver
on.
fan.
I saw that he said the talks were on hold, so that's just posturing at this point.
Well, that just sounds like he doesn't want to play in Vancouver, Jeff. I think we can all just everybody knows that. Nobody wants to
Mm,
play in Vancouver.
sure, sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Right?
Let's talk about all the guys who want to play in Winnipeg, shall we? Okay, anyhow, I'm
Max,
going to get this.
Max Duquette,
We've got 4 games left in the season here, so I'm going to start on that, and then we'll get around to the playoffs. Got Michigan
Max
here
Duquette in the
first.
chat says next stop Arizona for Matthews, and I have to agree with that. I think he's
I
right
mean,
on
that's
that.
where he's from. So, uh, okay, got Lindstrom, our starting center, is out day to day, so I'm just going to throw somebody in, potentially risk the winning streak, but I don't want him getting hurt. Oh wait, was Harlick? Yeah, he's. Oh no, wow, that's his first game of the season. He's been sitting on. Oh no, that's why he's redshirted. I can't play him. It's Franzen that I have to put in. So we'll see how we do against Michigan, and 6-2 win.
Very unsurprising.
Yeah,
And mostly expected.
and we'll put the backup in for the next game, but I think we're gonna. Yeah, Lindstrom is still out day to day. Any other? No, Franzen, the guy we just put in, is a little tired, but he can deal with it. Actually, I'll just flip the fourth line guy up to the first and give him some time. Back up in for the second game against Michigan. Probably the best chance that somebody has of breaking the undefeated record. Ooh, we just barely got out of that, and we're not going to have a perfect record because we. Oh no, we didn't. We lost. We lost. I read that as a win. 5-4 overtime loss.
Oh, I see the face gen bugs got you too.
Yeah. Oh well.
Rip the streak, says Max Duquette.
Yeah. Well, still sort of technically no regulation losses. That was a shootout loss too. How did we miss the first 2 shots and they scored on their first 2? So we'll blame that one on the goalie. So we won't have a perfect season. Came close, but also a little disturbing that we lost heading into the playoffs, but did have our #1 center out. Then had the backup goalie, and so I'm not going to worry too much about it yet. But I mean, that's the problem we've had with the playoffs so far. You lose one game in the tournament, and that's the end of your season. Okay, Lindstrom sounds like he's healthy, and we've got a week off here, so everybody should be healthy going into those last couple of games. So yeah, it's been an interesting weekend here. Kind of spent most of Friday listening to the emergency scanner, just wondering if waiting for the fires to come over the hill towards me, and we couldn't see anything because it was fairly smoky out. And then even after the fires got under control, we had bad smoke for a couple of days, and I've had the apartment basically shut up tight. And we're still #1 yet. We're still #1. Didn't get to open it up until it started raining last night, but the air quality is finally back to normal, I think, for a couple of days there. I think I saw yesterday that Kamloops literally had the worst air quality of any city in the world, and we weren't too far behind them.
Lovely.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think the scale, the AQI scale, anything above 250 is considered unhealthy, and above, I could be wrong, I think it's, or no, it's, I think 150 is unhealthy and 300 is hazardous. Kamloops was like a 681 at one point, and I think we got well into the sixes too. So I go out in the hallway at my place now, and you can still, I think the smell got into the carpets. It was sitting that way for so long, you can sort of smell it, although I think they went through today and disinfectant or something. So all I can smell now is disinfectant out there, which is an improvement over the smoke, but we're probably going to have that smoke smells for a while. Yeah. And when they were doing the evacuations, the line basically ended right across the street from me. So I've had bags packed and ready to go since Thursday night.
Oh yeah, other NHL news I saw. Peter Holland apparently is attempting a comeback. Peter Holland played for the Leafs. Is that right?
Yeah, I remember
It was
him.
Holland.
Somebody else
Yeah,
was trying a comeback too.
you thinking Alex Jason?
Brandon Sutter.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like his chances more than probably Holland.
Yeah, well, he was hurt at the end, and if he's got a couple of years to get healthy, maybe.
Yeah, Holland signed with a PTO with Colorado.
And it's going to take a little while to get around to the next game because we had a 2-week break here, which is kind of nice to have going into the playoffs. But yeah, the fire seems to be mostly under control of this on this side of the lake now, and it's moving away from the populated area on the other side. So I think we're relatively safe at the moment, unless something starts up again. But apparently they lost about 10 houses on this side of the lake, and I've heard anything from 90 to 190 on the other side. Okay, Lindstrom can go
That's
back in.
quite the range.
Well, I think the 90 was the preliminary count, but they hadn't gone through everything yet. There's apparently the federal government has a special team that goes through disasters and basically picks through the wreckage and does counts of what's damaged and burnt and beyond repair. So
Fair enough, I guess.
Slowly working through that. Okay, Ohio State, first game of the doubleheader. Everybody is healthy. Let Elias start it. And 6-3 win. Hopefully going to end the season with 0 in the loss column, even though we do have that one overtime loss. 153 goal differential in 33 games. So we typically win a game by about 5 goals. Well, between 4 and 5.
Overkill of ASE says, "Oh my gosh, what happened to Cameron Raygon?"
Let's see, where was it? I saw the headline with them. I'm sure I remember. The name was in there somewhere, right? Now I got to look it up. I'm curious. That was the Ohio State goalie. It's got the face jet bug, so he's partially missing. That's all it is. And we'll throw the backup in for the last game. Let's hope he doesn't get a loss here. 4-1 win. So we'll be on to the conference tournament next, which will take a couple of weeks. There's still a few teams that have to finish playing out their schedule. I think the Alaska teams, at least in this version, had a couple of their schedule ran a couple of weeks longer than everybody else's. So that has to finish up before we move on to that, before we can get on to the conference tournaments. And Elias finishes the season with a .90 goals against average. Not too bad. And the poll should have us at number 1. Yeah,
That's not bad at
33-0.
all.
Miami of Ohio. Looks like they lost another game. They're second. They're the defending national champions. Bentley, Dartmouth, and Clarkson. And any Big Ten teams beside us? Oh, Minnesota made it in at 17. But yeah, really bad season for the conference. And as long as we're here, I'm just going to take a look at our regular season points. So Mason San Luis, Martin Smarty San Luis' son. 52 points in 30 games. Pretty good. You know, a bit of a step up from what he did last year. He was a first-round pick in the NHL draft last year second-round pick, actually. That's funny. I thought he went in the first to Arizona. I think there's a pretty good chance he leaves after this season. Sam Michel, who also came in as a freshman last year and wound up playing in the first line because we'd had a bunch of losses, off-season losses. and seems to work pretty well with San Luis. I don't think he's 20. He's way past draft age. He's actually been taken in the LNAH draft, so he can go play senior in Quebec after this is done.
Perfect.
Caden Aucoin, you got lots of NHL sons here. That's Adrian Aucoin's son, who's freshman year, and 51 points in 34 games. It's a pretty good season. Kaplan is was a big recruit a couple of years ago. Came in and caused a bunch of team harmony issues right off the bat, and had trouble breaking into the lineup. They gave him a little bit of playing time the first year and very little last year, but he's bounced back. He's kind of got his career back on track now with a good season this year. Epperson is a graduating senior. Scans our captain and I think, 7th rounder of Arizona, I want to say. Anaheim. So kind of a long shot pick for him because he hadn't really done much the first 2 seasons, but now he's had a big year. And he's up to 5 stars, so he may have a future. Atkinson is another NHL first rounder, I believe. Yeah, 9th, the Flyers. That looked like a bit of a stretch because he was sitting at I think 1-star talent for quite a while, and then we finally gave him playing time, and he's been moving up rapidly. So 7 points in his first year. Now he's up to about a point a game this year. Lindstrom is kind of lucked into the first line center role after a couple other guys left this year or left during the offseason and was injured part of the year, but he had 32 points in 23 games, and he's graduating this year. Ascot, another pretty good recruit, good freshman season out of him. Taden Ratty, Ty Ratty's brother, good year there. Ross, you senior? No. And Flynn and some of the prospects seem like they're doing good. Where is that? Sheldrake, Sheldrake's the half-star guy. 2 points in 18 games, not that much. Hopefully he does like Hawkinson does and makes a big step forward this year. And the goalies, Elias, his 4th year, sat out his first year as a academic redshirt, but got his school stuff in order and looks like he's finished off his senior season pretty well, 20-0-0. And Cam, the backup, will be the starter next year as a junior, 4.5-star potential. So hopefully that talent number comes up a little bit in the off season. But I'll just keep this going here, and we'll get around to the conference tournament, which will be first. And we should win that, I would hope. Although we've screwed that up before. And then after that, the national tournament. Trying to think if what other things did I do with college? Yeah, I've been fine-tuned a couple of other things with college play, but it's mostly been database side stuff, just to improve the recruiting pool a little bit. Like one of the things we've noticed in this is we were getting very few Wisconsin players, which doesn't look right. Players of the month, nope, none of our guys. Gonna bump morale up all the way going into the playoffs. There's a couple of new scouting things. There's one thing in particular that'll be of interest if you're playing as a college or junior team that's related to scouting. I don't want to go into the details yet, though, because I'm still working out a few bugs with it, but something new that will give the guys you're recruiting a little more of a backstory, and hopefully be able to talk about that in the next couple of weeks or so. And one other big college thing, Adam knows what it is, but not going to say it yet, but I think people will be happy with it.
Oh, that's good. I'm sure people will be excited.
Yeah. And then, of course, stuff for the other modes coming as well. One of the things we're working on right now, getting in, still isn't quite in yet, is the major historical edition, which did a bunch of work in the off season for, which should be interesting. And I guess one of the things we can tell them about now, if you played historical before and you want to play as an expansion team, In the past, you've had to start in the season before the expansion team existed and play a season through, and then then take over the expansion team on July 1st. What we've done is take the setup we used for the Seattle and Vegas expansion. Then you can, if you want to say start in 1967 as the Penguins, you can do that with the real NHL draft, the players that are exposed. Were exposed in that draft, and you'll be able to redraft the Penguins as the actual team was built. Got to be coming up on tournaments soon, because I think we're through to March 10th now. Should take a look at the NHL. I haven't seen that all season. Salmon, we really dropped back on the scoring leaders. He was the goal leader for quite a while. Has he quieted down in the last little bit? But Fondrick at Yukon winning the scoring race fairly handily. It's Alaska Anchorage that everybody's waiting on still. Oh no, they're done their year, so okay, that should be. Yeah, this was the early version of the schedule where they only had 28 games. Come to think of it, I need to check later tonight and see if all the NCAA teams have finally released their schedules yet. That's basically, they're the only ones I'm waiting on for the real schedule this year now. But because each team announces their schedule individually, that's the college one is always the last one to get done or get released publicly. Okay, here we go. We got some award nominees. Pool first has us number 1, Hobie Baker Award. Any of our guys? No. Nominees are Brendan McMorrow of Denver. 65 points, 34 games. Conrad Fondrick of Yukon. Not a surprise there, leading scorer in the country. And Ethan Bryant of Arizona State, who had a pretty good year. Okay, this is surprising. We didn't get a goalie nomination. Did I split time a little too much? 935 save percentage for 170 goals against average. That's a little surprising. What was Elias's save percentage? 938. Oh, I only played him in 20 games. Yeah, I don't think I used him enough. That's probably what hurt him. And didn't get a nomination for top athletic director. No, top humanitarian. And we've got some new awards too here. I've just finished. Oh, there we go. I got nominated as the coach of the year. I believe that's coach of the year.
Jeff, just taking a quick peek, looks like most schedules were released about a month ago.
Most of them are, but there's I think Yukon, and there's a guy that's keeping a spreadsheet of them on uscho.com. And I've been keep watching that, and there's just a couple of teams that are slow to finish them up. And I led the league in road wins. There's an achievement for me. Didn't you get that one last time? You got that? That's what you got last
no.
time, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? I gotta check.
I think it was.
Let's find out. Lead the league in road wins and the pinnacle, yes.
Yep. Okay, that'll be the first round of the conference tournaments here. Let's get through this day and we'll take a quick look at some Minnesota ones. So we're going to get them in the first round, looks like. Okay, conference tournaments. Only one we're interested right now is the Big Ten. So we get the first round bye. Minnesota easily getting past Penn State. into the semifinal against us. Michigan upsets Ohio State. Michigan, they're the guys that beat that ruined our perfect season. So they're into the second round against Michigan State. So if we'll get another shot at Michigan in the final. But are they heating up late in the season? Are they?
Wow, wow, wow. You're just assuming you're going to win.
Yeah,
Wow, the confidence here.
seems reasonable. Okay, everybody is healthy. Elias is going to be starting all the games the rest of the way. And an easy 6-1 win over Minnesota. Second line looks like they got most of the points. And yeah, we got Michigan in the final. 5-0 win over for them over Michigan State. And fitness looks good across the board. I don't have to move anybody. Don't think I'm going to change anything at all. Let's just go to the game, sim it out. And an easy 8-2 win for the conference final. Roman Zapp, who hasn't really been a big scorer his whole career, comes up with a 4-point game.
Huzzah.
But we got 2 injuries. Oh man, that's unfortunate. I mean, it's only day to day, but still. So that's Jarrett Ross, our second
not
third
feel great.
defenseman. Yeah, and Kaplan is okay. That's well, I mean, it sounds better, but is actually effectively worse. So Kaplan is going to probably miss the rest of the playoffs. Fractured wrist, 1 to 2 months, and Franzen is going to have to come in. That's not the Johan Franzen. It's a Johan Franzen. And, well, Zapp having a good game, I'll bump him up to the second line. And Franzen will go down to the bottom. Ascot goes up 1 as well. But, conference champions, and I'll just play this ad one day so we can see who the other conference winners are. Oh, I can delay treatment on Kaplan. Well, we will do that then. But he is going to still move down the no, I want to replace Franzen with Kaplan. His fitness is going to be bad for the rest of the season, so I'll put him down on the 4th line. And we'll get through this day, and then we'll take a quick look at the other tournaments. Get a brief look as they run by here. But in the finals of the other conference playoffs, Atlantic Hockey, Bentley, 7-0 win over Rochester Tech. Bentley, I think, was the number 3 team in the country. The Big Ten, there's us, beating Michigan. ECAC goes to RPI. 5-1 win over Brown. Hockey East won by UConn. And the Fondrick, the best, probably the odds-on Obi Baker favorite. CCHA goes to Bemidji State over Minnesota State, Mankato. And the NCHC goes to Miami, the defending national champions. 3-0 shutout over Western Michigan. Western Michigan. And now here's the national tournament. So we got Bemidji State in the first round. So another conference champion. I think these might have been. This was still done when the pairings were a little off in the first round of the national tournament, but we got to get by Bemidji State first. That game is scheduled for a week from now. Let's see, injuries. They got no injuries. doesn't look like a particularly impressive team. Goaltending is, they got a good goaltending prospect, but he's not that great right now. 4-star player. Scoring depth doesn't look that great, so we should not be able to screw that up. Oh, and I was going to look at the NHL and see what was going on there, just out of curiosity. Yeah, we're into the playoffs already. Canucks. Oh no, we're not in the playoffs. Still 10 games left in the season. Canucks struggling to get into a playoff spot. Jets look like they're out of it. Exactly at 500.
How dare you?
And Austin Matthews, what did he do with his contract in this one? Signed through 29-30 with the Leafs. Slightly cheaper than what he did in real life. I did bump up the salary standards for the upcoming season at 10. And anybody particularly... Minnesota's a defending champion. They're still first place overall. The Oilers presumably setting up for a choke in the playoffs. Oilers GM Jason Spezza. Kyle Dubas running Winnipeg. And Patrick Alvin's still in Vancouver.
Greener T says, "Hey Jeff, hope all is well."
Yep. Yeah. Didn't burn down on the weekend, so that's always good. Now we got a week to go here to get around to the first tournament games, or first round of the tournament. Oh, and looks like Ross might be ready to come back, despite his unfortunate injury.
Smoking Giraffe, I think it's safe to say, I think Jeff and I would consider the same. He says he's a friendly Canadian.
Ross still out. Okay. Yeah, and then as bad as we got it down here for the Fires, the shoe swap apparently really got hit bad. The campground up there that I remember going to with my parents as a kid a couple of times, and Provincial Park, and then a campground inside it, and the park is still there, but the Scotch Creek, the town around it, they lost I think pretty much everything. And there's a lot of those fires still going. Okay, and Ross is... the boys are fully recovered. Well, 80%, but we'll give him that. Kaplan is at 80% because he's got the fractured wrist that he's going to play through. And opening game against Bemidji State. Bemidji State did not look that impressive on paper. So I'm going to assume we can just sim this and we're going to be able to beat them. 5-0 shutout. 51-21 shot advantage. A few of their guys had pretty good games. Put up a reasonable fight. Our top two lines looking really good. Brendan Flynn for a star. Ross, despite the injury, a couple of assists. How did Kaplan do? 63 game rating, +1, 7 minutes played. Yeah, that's so. I think he's going to do okay if he's in that last spot and we don't put too much pressure on him. That's funny. That's I just see a story about Cameron Hicklin. This is actually the son of a friend of mine. Really went to high school with. I was actually going to see her. I was supposed to. Another friend of ours was having a party on the week. It was supposed to be on Saturday night, but he wound up in the evacuation zone, so that kind of got put off. But fun to see him in there getting sun, and apparently we may see him later in the playoffs.
Good.
Okay, so Canisius over Brown, upsetting Brown actually, and we'll get them in the second round. There's a classic matchup: Harvard beating Yale 4-3, and Harvard will go on to beat Denver, who upset Bentley. Miami of Ohio gets knocked off by RPI, so they will not repeat as national champions, and that opens up our path a little bit more. Merrimack over Bowling Green. Merrimack and RPI in the quarterfinal. Clarkson over Yukon. I thought Yukon would have had a higher seed than that, but Clarkson was the favorite, and they just came out of it. And Dartmouth knocking off Mercyhurst 7-2. So we got a few, pretty good mix of teams. Actually, it looks a little East heavy on this. Us, Denver, and don't think we've got any other teams that aren't on the East Coast. Canisius is in New York, if I remember right, aren't they?
I don't know well enough to remember.
Yeah, Buffalo. They're in Buffalo. Well, not quite on the East Coast, but eastern.
I guess that makes sense. Makes sense with the color scheme.
Oh yeah, blue and gold. Goaltending is terrible. They got a goalie named Biron. I don't know if that's. Well, it doesn't say if he's. I mean, he's born in Buffalo, so that must be Martin Biron's son. It's just not in the database.
Well, not necessarily, but
I'll check that. I mean, the timeline looks right.
all right. Jacob Buron.
Yeah. Check him on Elite Prospects. I bet it is. Although they.
Yep.
He is Martin Biron's son.
I googled Marty Biron's son, and he was the first person that popped up. 6'3" goaltender.
Yeah, well,
Father Martin Biron, Uncle Matthew Biron.
So these guys have a bunch of centers and basically nothing else. And one guy who's out day to day with a black eye, but he'll presumably be back in for that game. And
okay, interesting. He played for the Kempville 73s in the CCHL.
Yeah.
And he's committed not this year, but next year, 2024 or 25, to join Army. Or so Elite Prospect says.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure how you could know that far in advance with West Point, because don't they announce the appointments like only a year in advance? Yeah.
Well, again, if it was recently announced,
maybe
it would be just hardly a year.
And development report. A lot of our future guys seem to be coming along nicely. Because we're a college team, you probably won't see anybody heading downhill, but okay, Sheldrake, the half-star guy, still sitting at half-star, but he went up in 3 categories. Development may be a little slower than I would have liked for our current guys.
Well, he committed January 5th, apparently, so.
Oh, okay. So
I guess technically a year out then.
Okay, everybody is good. Ross is only at 85%, but we got, oh no, it's the day of the game. And won't change the budget. Again, I think we should be able to beat Canisius. They've got good centers and basically nothing else. And we just cruised through them 6-0. Mason St. Louis with 3 points in the first star. 37-9 on the shots. And the other game ratings, pretty ugly, guys in the 40s.
You bought a Steam Deck just for this game.
It's playable with the Steam Deck. I don't know how well the controls work, but good to hear, though. Yeah, it looks like well, the other guy started and Biron finally went in after the sixth goal. And there we go. Mesa San Luis 99 game score. And Kaplan's still holding up okay with limited ice. Yeah, that's working out okay with him. And Zapp with another big game on the second line, 2 points. And we'll see in a second how the other ones turn out. Just needs to save here. I'll just interrupt it so we can get a look at the... Okay, so our easy win. Harvard gets over Denver 6-2. Was Denver was neither one of those guys was seeded, so this is really opening up on our side. So into the Frozen Four, we're going to be playing Harvard in the first game. And RPI 1-0 shutout over Merrimack. RPI also not seeded, so. And Dartmouth, the only seeded team left besides us. Just barely getting by Clarkson now, and that was a bit of an upset. They were 8 and Clarkson was 7. So Dartmouth against RPI in one final, and us against Harvard in the other. What does Harvard look like? Yeah, that's a pretty good team.
That is a very good team.
Great Murray, very good. That's a really solid group of defensemen, pretty comparable to ours. No big scores. The goalie is a little questionable. 1.5 starts. Well, good team. It didn't look like they scored a lot this year. Murray is going to be the big problem, I think. And Finnish center is their leading scorer. And are we okay injury-wise? Yeah, just Kaplan's, and everything else is good. Keep rolling on to that. And if anybody's wondering why we're responding to chat and you don't see anybody, we're streaming on Twitch as well as the Steam.
Twitch, yeah. 2
different channels on Twitch as well as Steam's our Steam channel as well. Are there Steam channels? I think it's just whatever it is on Steam. So
yeah,
Adam's watching 3 different chats.
It's important to watch everything.
And Franzen, who apparently had a minor facial cut in practice, but still isn't going to be in the lineup, so doesn't really matter. Okay, Frozen Four game against Harvard. Really don't want to change anything here the way it's been going. Okay, Harvard's starting goalie, or their number 1 guy, I think 1.5 or 2-star guy, is a little cold at the moment, so that works for us. And Elias is red hot. I think we can do this.
Let's hope.
Damn it! I blame you, Adam. I blame you.
Don't blame me.
It's your fault somehow. Oh man, we blew that in the first period. We were down 3-0 after 20 minutes. Jeez, Murray, their best player, takes 2 penalties in the first and still winds up scoring twice. Got back into it in the second. First line had a couple of goals, so it's 3-2, and I'm guessing that's not even an empty netter. That's unassisted goal 3 minutes into the third, and we just don't come back from there. Oh, brilliant. Oh, it looks like that's, well, semi-coincidental, but O'Coin, we're losing by 2 goals, 2 minutes left, and one of our best defensemen takes a boarding major. Brilliant. Oh
I'll
man,
see
look
it.
at the game scores. That's a coin. The idiot who took the boarding penalty, 47 game score, and that's with 5 shots. So he's generating offense. He must have been terrible defensively. Oh boy. San Luis showed up, although he wound up -2 for the game. First line did okay. They just had a couple of goals scored on them. And yeah, we outshot them 33-18, and we lose 4-2. So not a good game for Elias. Lousy way to end his college career. They didn't even have a power play, and they still beat us. Oh, they should have had a power play. Oh no, no, they wouldn't have had a power play because that is counted correctly. Because I think, yeah, it was with 2 minutes left in the game, so that would have been coincidental. Never would have gone to a power play situation.
So once again, your team disappoints in the end.
Yep. Oh, great. We got a. Well, apparently 2 guys got hurt in the final game, so there's some small excuse there. Major whiplash for Lindstrom. He's out 3 weeks, so he probably missed some time. And Akason tore his calf muscle at the end there, so 2 pretty big forward losses. Our first line center and our second line right wing. We were already playing with 1 injured guy on the fourth line. Still, that's disappointing. Oh, great. O'Coin isn't getting suspended for whatever he did on the boarding call. And RPI wins against Dartmouth, so it's going to be an RPI Harvard final. And I'll just do this day by day until that pops up. Man, that kills me. It's didn't lose a game all year. Oh, and Scan was apparently hurt too at some point. Oh, and there's the message you get when if you've delayed treatment on an injury. At the end of the season, it'll say they revealed the injury, and now he's going on now he's finally getting treatment for it. RPA against Harvard in the final. 6-4 win for the Engineers. RPI wins.
Relishing.
Were they even? Nope, weren't seeded going into the tournament. And how did they do in the regular season? Oh wow, look at that. 9th place in the ECAC. I'm surprised they even got a tournament bid with that. Although they had a shorter schedule, so win percentage wise they're probably up about 3 spots or so if I.
So you're mad that a team that was worse than you won?
I'm not thrilled with it. 27th out of 61 teams, so just a barely above average team has everything fall right for them in the finals. And I mean, we didn't lose to these guys. Terrible goaltending. D looks passable. Yeah, they got some pretty good forward depth too. Yeah, not much scoring at all. How'd the goalies do? The goalies look terrible. What did they do in the... This is a tournament score only, or tournament stats only. Okay, yeah, good freshman, Julius Foglia. 4.5 stars, and what the Munla goal is sturdy. I gotta look at the... I mean, nothing special, 915 save percentage, 2.0 goals against average. Oh wow, look at that third period. Harvard gets 2 goals early. 2-0 at the end of the first. 3-0 at the end of the second. And then...
Boom, 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 boom,
Oh,
boom.
look at this guy. Fontaine.
Yeah.
12:20, 15:37, 15:54. So he's got a hat trick in a little over 3.5 minutes, and he's got
No,
4 goals in.
30 seconds. Well, he got 3 goals in 30 seconds. 30, yeah,
Yeah,
30 seconds.
no, that's 3 goals in 27 seconds. So that's 6 seconds off the NHL record, and he had one to begin with that. So he had 4 goals in 3 minutes 44 seconds. Damn. And that,
Now, don't you just wish he was jumping in the transfer portal?
jeez. I mean, can you imagine being that game if you're a Harvard fan? It's 12 minutes. Your team is up. There's only 7.5 minutes left in the game. Your team is up 3-0, and 4 minutes later you're down 4-3, all because of one guy. Who is this dude? Anton Fontaine from Quebec, senior, graduating senior this year. He's their now RPI's captain, and actually a free agent now because he's finished his career. That's a real guy. He was actually picked in the Q draft by Halifax. And yeah, no NHL interest at all. He'll probably get a chance to play pro, but yeah, I mean, that's a highlight reel. Anton Fontaine had a great game. Yeah, no kidding. That must be a college hockey record for fastest hat trick. And probably for fastest 4 goals, too. And RPI wins the national championship. So we'll have a few of our guys leaving now. Some of the graduating seniors will take off and sign pro contracts. That may have happened already. Yeah, you can see Lindstrom, Roman Zapp, who wound up his career pretty well with us. Pino's gone. Epperson and Skahan are captain. Oh, and was there anybody this year? I don't know if I should do this again because I screwed myself last year because I redshirted a guy who hadn't played all season at the end of the year. But then he needed an academic redshirt the following season, and I couldn't. The redshirt was used.
And, Jeff?
Yep.
Fastest hat trick in NCAA history, that still doesn't touch it. That's 12 seconds longer than the fastest hat trick in NCAA history.
14 seconds?
27, Jeff. Do your math again.
No, the hat trick was 26 seconds.
27, you said.
Right.
15 seconds, anyways. 15 seconds.
Wow, I wonder how that happened. Oh, no, you're right.
Tom
27.
Meeker from Clarkson on February 12th, 1955.
Ah, that's old clocks. Probably didn't time it correctly. That and that, if you're imagine being on that Harvard team, you got the game, you got the championship pretty much all sewn up. That's like 86 Mets and Red Sox level of blowing it. And one guy just takes over. I'm curious to see if he may get signed before the end of the year. Some of the better graduating seniors, the AHL and ECHL teams, I think it's just the two of them. We'll usually try to sign them at the end of the year and get them for the playoffs. But nope, still a free agent in this case. The award ceremony. Ethan Bryant from Arizona State, surprisingly getting the Hobie Baker. Tournament MVP, not Fontaine, but Julian Paille from RPI. Richter Award, Craig Bates from Northern Michigan. That guy was better than that. Top Athletic Director goes to Arizona State. And am I going to win Coach of the Year, Adam?
You should, but just because you should doesn't mean you will. But you probably will.
Nope, Arizona State, Greg Powers. And the
Wow, you
humanitarian
go.
award goes to Jason Davenport, who was playing for Michigan State.
How did you not win? You went 30 and 0 and 1.
And then, 2-1 in the national tournament. How did Arizona State do? Arizona State probably had a big improvement season over season. It's not. It used to be the biggest part of those awards, but I adjusted that a little bit. Oh, 27-13 they were for the season. So what did they do? Yeah, okay, so they've gone from 13-14 the previous year to 27-13. Why is their games played varying that much? That's a little odd. Huh. And I'll just take a quick look at the NHL. So I think we'll be into the playoffs there. But
Those crafty Crimson guys. Well, we're at our 10 o'clock time.
yep, I'm just gonna take a quick look at that, and then I'll probably play it forward while we're offline. So I think we'll get at least one more. Yeah, pretty sure we'll get at least one more week out of this, or one more stream out of this because we'll have yours next week, and the week after that, or 2 weeks after that. And firings, doesn't seem to be anything going on in ours. NHL season is over. The playoffs going. Oh, Canucks won and made the playoffs and beat Minnesota in the first round.
I was gonna say that seemed odd, but Minnesota flaming out in the first round is actually pretty
Yep. So
standard.
defending champion. Well, I mean they won it last year.
I know.
And what do the Jets look like? Hellebuck's still there. Connor Ehlers, Chaz Lucius. Looks like he had a breakout year, but broke his shoulder at the end of the year. Scheifele's still there. Kane Zimmer.
That's Kane. That's how you say that. I would have said Cohen.
I think it's Kane.
I don't know. I'm just no idea.
Hellebuck hanging in there.
Vinny. Who is Vinny?
Emil Vinny. Currently, looks like he's playing for HIFK in the Finnish League. Or actually, no, that's probably a loan there.
They draft him or sign him? That's what I'm curious.
Legal rookie team. Fourth rounder. Was expected to go in the first round, but fell all the way to 98.
Bryson.
And signed him right away, and you sent him back to Finland. That was 2024. Sent him back to Finland. Almost did that the next year, but then you called him back to Manitoba.
You called him?
You called him. The Jets.
I don't think I had anything to do with it.
You sure? I mean, they're losing. But yeah, I guess we should probably wrap it up here. And I will get this moved ahead to the beginning of the next season. And we'll see what kind of a recruiting or player departure disaster we have in the off season. I think we've got Torno's going to be leaving. Most of the other guys are already gone. Let me just see quickly if any of these.
While you do that, I can start.
Sciencer, Lindstrom, Pino, Epperson. If anybody signed it, it'll be Skahan. But yeah, no, he hasn't either. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so thank you very much for tuning to another Franchise Hockey Manager stream. We typically stream every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Franchise Hockey Manager, as well as twitch.tv/OOTP Developments, and every other week on our Steam channel. You can find all of our streams archived on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/OOTP Developments, with stream archives going live Sundays at about 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for European viewers. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/franchise hockey manager. On Twitter, we're at franchise hockey. You can also find a link to our official Discord in our Twitter bio. And of course, you can come on down to our official website, which is ootpdevelopments.com. Click on the community button in the top right hand corner, which will bring you to official forums where you can come talk about Franchise Hockey Manager, Out of the Park Baseball, Perfect Team Go, or anything else you wish to discuss. Or maybe you want to hang out because, as Jeff already mentioned, there is FHM 10 news slowly coming and things are being worked on, and you never know. So you want to make sure you're ready and prepared. Although if you're watching the stream right now, you're in the right spot for all those good announcements. And next week we'll be back with our Stanley Cup winning Columbus Blue Jackets.
Had to say that, Jeff. Had to mention it.
I did, yes, absolutely, I did. As we ring in the new era of the NHL with the salary cap now imposed. So we'll have to see how that goes.
So thanks for coming out, everybody, and hopefully see you back next week. And we will be, as Adam said, back with that Columbus game. And we'll see if we can sneak in one more season of this before we have to move on to the next version of the game, of the seeking one more season of college play. But I will get this around to the start of next season. We'll see what kind of damage happens in the off season. So we will see you in a week from now, assuming there's no giant forest fires or anything that burned me out of my home.